learning theory, neuroplasticity, and human development. Now these three fields are really deeply intertwined, although I'm sure each of them has their own unique things to offer. But I want to start with those, and let's give a little mini anatomy lesson in a way. At the center of our functioning is our nervous system. Our nervous system consists of our brain, our spinal cord, nerves, and sense organs such as our eyes and ears. Now the central nervous system has a really important role, and that is to keep you alive. It's what it's thinking about all the time, 24/7. When you're born as a baby, you begin the process of learning how to function. You learn how to do your respiration, how to do your heartbeat, how to do your digestion, how to do your metabolism, how to take food in, chew it, swallow it. You learn how to make sense of images. The nervous system is continually scanning for how can it become better at doing this thing called life in such a way that it creates higher levels of safety. Because the nervous system is so interested in keeping us alive, it needs pain and fear to be front and center. That sounds bizarre, doesn't it? Because we all want to have happy babies and we look for happy lives. But the thing that our nervous system is most interested in is, can I survive in this moment? And so it tends to give priority to the emotions of fear and pain. Now, I called those emotions, we could call them sensations. Sensations are assigned by your brain. All sensations are really, as far as we know, assigned by the brain. That's kind of the new understanding. Neuroplasticity is also a relatively new understanding, in that in the last 20, 30 years, we now understand that we don't just come into this world as children to learn, but that through our entire adult lives we're able of learning. Neuroplasticity is this capacity of your brain to change in shape and function, to change in structure and function. So, it turns out that whatever we do more of, we get better at, right? We kind of know that. And it is also true as it relates to movement and chronic pain. So let's take a little bit closer look at that. Most chronic pain situations begin with some kind of trauma, some kind of scare. It could be that some kind of actual tissue damage was done. It could be that the event had nothing that you could have done to control it at all, right? You could have been in an auto accident, you may have stepped off of a curb funny, or it could be that you reached down into the refrigerator, picked up a heavy bowl, turned, twisted, and suddenly your back was in spasm, or you had a severe shooting pain and you knew something was really, really wrong. Any of these kinds of situations usually will clear up, but if the trauma is significant enough, or if there is repetitive instigations to say, no, that's another injury, oh, and that's another moment to be concerned about, oh, there's more and more happening here. This is where we end up with an opportunity to develop chronic pain problems. This is where your brain actually gets better at producing more chronic pain. And these are actually become erroneous messages, because you can only do so much damage to yourself, to be honest. You will probably be irritating the tissue, but it's not likely you're continuing to cause permanent damage to yourself with every single moment that you reach over to pick up something. So we need to address the issue of how can we help the brain learn to do something other than to produce chronic pain. Now this is not to say that there isn't movement patterns that need to change. In fact, I think that it's important to recognize that there are a number of things that we want to change in the nervous system, and those are best related to, I think, by looking at neuroplasticity and maps. Researchers have studied what parts of the brain does what. It helps them to understand when there's a brain trauma or injury, what's going on, and actually it's helped them to understand the situation around chronic pain. There are a number of maps, but three that I want to talk about are the pain map, the sensory map, and the motor maps. Now, the sensory motor maps are really closely related in the brain, closely situated together and interplay a lot, but really so does the pain map. And so I think it's possible that we can change all three of these maps with the Feldenkrais method. Now let's just talk about why these maps would be so important. You can't actually do much of them with them yourself. Mostly those maps only make sense to a neurosurgeon or a neurologist. But for your perspective, what you can be interested in is, how could I make these a more accurate map, and why would they be inaccurate in the first place? Well, first of all, your maps are built according to how you use yourself. I've sort of hinted at that or said that before. For example, if you are a musician, your sensory motor maps around hearing and around your hands will be quite different than if you're an Olympic runner. If you're left-handed or right-handed, your maps will be different. So how we use ourselves makes a difference. Now, actually, it turns out that with people who were studied who have chronic back pain, their sensory map, their image of where their spine is wrong. They actually don't have a sense of where their spine is. It's not accurate. Well, you might think, so big deal, they don't know where their spine is. Their spine is maybe an inch off of where they think it is. Well, it is a really big deal. You can